Alright, video gamers, we have successfully come to a fantastic conclusion. I was gonna make like a character thing, so I could actually Yakuza 7 characters, because I don't remember half of these characters' names. Let me put this on my second monitor while I talk about the game. Fry meat like butter, fry meat like but. Dude, I hate Windows sometimes. It's like, if you lock one window, Windows is like, oh, you want to lock this other window too? No, I just want to lock the one window. Is that too much to ask, Windows? I guess I have to manually shrink this window down. Like a peasant. Like a passant. Did I miss start? No, you didn't miss it. It's starting right now. Oh, but I can't wait to hear Enda's thoughts on the best RPG ever made. Friend, turn the stream off, please. Please turn the stream off right now. Alright, like I was saying, we have successfully concluded our journey through Yakuza 7 like a dragoon. There's no shot you guys like this game that much. There's just no way. There's just actually no way. That's just not a thing. I did base game. I did most of the sub stories, and then we got to the point where it's like Dragoon mentioned Final Fantasy stream soon. I subscribe to his opinion. I got to the point towards the end of the game where I was like, I realized how much grinding I would have to do to just do the sub stories, and then I realized that I don't even need to fight Amon, and then I realized that the Almond fight is actually just an impossible grind to begin with. So just like, well, what's the point? Like, I'm not gonna sit there and grind this stream for this game for like 20-30 hours just to like do an Almond fight, you know what I mean? That's a little bit too much. That's a bit too much to ask. I already know that the Almond fight is gonna be ass, so actually we can just look the Almond fight up. Let's just go look what it looks like. Let's just take a gander at it together as a group of friends. YouTube. Yakuza 7 Amon. This fight is 25 secret boss. Oh, that's Pirate Yakuza. This fight is 25 minutes long? How's that even possible? I'm not eating right now. Should be a commentary or a metaphor for some good JRPG. You think metaphor is that good? You grind off stream and do the ultimate tower on stream. Yeah, but I don't want to grind this for 30 hours off stream either. Why would I want to do that? Who is Almon? Not in recap. Assume he is a nobody. Almon is the every Yakuza game has a secret end boss fight where you fight Almon. How is it possible? You played Persona 5, you know how JRPG was in JRPG. 25 minutes? Fighting this guy for 25 minutes? Oh, Sojima showed up, and Kiryu, and Majima. They're the composite versions. Okay, this guy's a bunch of buffs. His health is like 6 times my health. Jesus. Well, yeah, I got to point in the game where I guess that's for maxing out other jobs. I got to the point in the game where I realized that to do all the content I would have to grind for hours and hours and hours. I don't care about the game enough to do that. It's just like if I enjoyed, if I thought the combat was good, I would do it. But I just like I don't think the combat in this game is good. I think it's like I think calling it average would be charitable, if I'm honest. Which is needed for this fight, yeah. I mean, which you know, if the combat was like interesting in any way, that's fair. But like, I don't know. I don't know where to begin. We can say, well, let me think about a story recap. So so I have the characters on my other monitor, just so I can remember their existences and their names. So the story is that on the scale of Yamato to rubber bullets, where is this? Mirror Man? That was that's the name, right? It was Mirror Man. What was his name again? Mask Man? Mirror Man? Mirror Feral? Mirror Face. So there you go. It was even worse than what I remembered. So the story recap is we see Arakawa is like a theater performer, and then he goes to like a place with his dad, and then his dad gets murdered, and I don't remember if they explained why his dad got murdered. He just got murdered, and he got murdered by Hoshino, and then later Arakawa learns this, and he goes and he spares Hoshino for some reason that I don't remember. And either after that or before that, Arakawa's girlfriend, who's being hunted by the Yakuza, calls them and says, "Bro, I put that fucking baby in the locker. It's a locker baby right now." But at the same time, Sawashiro and his girlfriend also put a baby in the locker. And the two locker babies are Ichiban and Aoki. And they are in lockers right next to each other, so Arakawa comes up and he's like, "My baby's in this shit. Bing, 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 bing," and he bangs it open. But he gets the wrong locker, because in that locker is Aoki and not Ichiban, which is his real kid. And then the other guys come over and they grab Ichiban. So now we've had a whole baby mix up somehow. That's like the preface to the story. So we go many years later. The Sawashiro guy has joined the Arakawa family, partially to look after his kid, because that is his kid. But his kid doesn't know that, and Arakawa doesn't know that. But he's joined the baby mix. Oh no! And Ichiban is also in the Arakawa family, but that's also just kind of like a random coincidence. Like it just kind of happened. It's not like it wasn't born into the family; it just kind of happened. And Ichiban he has some tangible relation to Aoki, who he calls the young master, who's this crippled asshole that has no likable qualities at all. He's just completely unlikable in every way imaginable. But Ichiban really likes this guy for reasons that I don't think that we ever made apparent. Ichiban just really thinks this guy is like the best guy ever, the young master. That's just the thing, I guess. I mean, they're the same age also. I don't know why it's the young master, but I guess it's the younger Arakawa. I guess that makes sense. Then Aoki kills a dude. Arakawa tells Ichiban that Sawashiro did it, and it's like, "Hey Ichiban, can you go to prison for this murder?" And Ichiban's like, "Yeah, sure, man, whatever." Ichiban goes to prison for 18 years. He comes out, and no one's waiting for him. It's completely empty out there, except for Adachi. Adachi is there waiting for some reason. Like, they probably explained why at some point. It probably doesn't make sense. He's just waiting there for Ichiban for some reason. And then Ichiban's like, "What the hell? None of this makes sense. Why aren't my friends here?" And then they go to like a graveyard or whatever, and Arakawa happens to be there, and that's where Ichiban learns that the Tocho clan, it doesn't exist anymore, and it's been merged into the Omi Alliance, and that happened because of some legislation that Aoki helped push, where they made being a Yakuza in Kamurocho really difficult. And it also ended up with like a bunch of the Yakuza being arrested. So they had to merge the Tojo clan with the Omi Alliance for their survival or something like that. Something that just doesn't make sense, right? And for some reason, Arakawa doesn't want to tell Ichiban about this, and he also doesn't want to give him the scoop or keep him out of trouble, so he doesn't have anyone waiting for Ichiban when he comes out of prison. He instead waits for Ichiban to come find him, and then he shoots him in the chest. Now, initially, my assumption was that he did that knowing that he wouldn't kill Ichiban, which obviously he couldn't, but I guess apparently he wasn't sure. He just shot him in the chest like, YOLO, if you die, you die. GG. They shoot Ichiban in the chest, and then for some reason, I don't think it was ever explained why he had to kill Ichiban, because Ichiban didn't have any... He has no connection to the story at all at that point, right? It's not like Ichiban, it's like a hidden Tosho member that can, like, ruin their plans, or he's like Kiryu come back from the dead to redeem the Tosho clan, right? Ichiban is just a random dude that went to prison for them. If anything, he could have been like, oh shit, this Ichiban, he's the guy that went to prison for me. Ichiban is shot on sight, just like... Chicken Jockey, So... I don't think they ever explained why he had to shoot Ichiban, and if they did, it doesn't make any sense. So I'm just going to go out and say it doesn't make any sense. Arakawa just shoots Ichiban, even though Ichiban has no relation to anything. He can't sabotage the story, he can't sabotage the plot, he has nothing. Absolute worst case, you take Ichiban aside, you're like, hey Ichiban, we're doing a big plot right now, just need to chill out, just go play, here's some money, go to Soapland, listen to karaoke, in like 3 weeks this will all be over. And Ichiban's like, Sure, boss, whatever you say, because you're the patriarch and I will listen to you no matter what. But I don't know, he shoots him in the chest. Is that explained? Can I find, like, why does Arakawa shoot Ichiban? Does anyone know why this happened? Okay, according to this top commenter, it says, He was around several Omi men. Ishi would start talking about being a Tojo man and make all kinds of questions. And Arakawa had to save face. He wasn't gonna sit Ishi and old Tojo guy down and try to convince him in front of everyone. Okay, but why didn't he just have someone meet Ishi at prison or take him aside or something? He needed to show that he was an Omi dog through and through. But Ichiban he's been in prison. Are we saying the Yakuza wouldn't understand that? Like, I'm Arakawa. Oh shit, this is Ichiban. He used to be in my clan, but he went to prison for a murder that, you know, someone else did. I think he didn't want Ichi back in the Yakuza. Okay, but then he shot him in the chest. So you just wanted Ichiban dead? Got thrown out of the family already. Okay, sure. I mean, that's fair, I guess. Okay. But just to be clear, when we talk to Arakawa, he says like, I didn't know if you would make it. Like he makes no implication of trying to of being like, I tried to shoot you a place you could survive. He's like, I shot you, and if you survive, you survive. By the time Ichiban gets out of prison, the world has changed. Arakawa has seemingly betrayed the Torture clan and joined the rivals. The Omi alliance has led to the Komurosuke plan, which wiped out Torture off the map. Ichiban confronts Arakawa at Omi meeting. Arakawa shoots him too, with his cover. What cover? There's no cover. Arakawa was surrounded by high-ranking Omi officers. If he had shown any mercy or affection to a former Torture subordinate, his position with the Omi and his secret plans would have been compromised. Given appearances to the Omi, Ichiban was a ghost from a dead clan. Arakawa, to deal with him decisively to prove his loyalty. Why? That doesn't make any sense. That makes no sense. But sure. He shoots Ichiban, and then he has his people drop Ichiban off at a homeless camp, a town one city over, because they know that the homeless people are obligated to help you. So they knew that if Ichiban had a chance, then the homeless people would sue him up and make sure he was fine, if he had a chance. And he also put a fake dollar bill in his suit pocket, so that if Ichiban happened to encounter Hoshino and show Hoshino the fake bill, then Hoshino would know that there's some connection there, right? Which makes complete sense. Some people are noble than Yakuza as a homeless person. And then Ishmael wakes up, and there's just a bunch of stuff happens that is completely irrelevant to the plot. It's like we go to try to get a job, but we can't get a job because we're too homeless, and then we get a job, and the job is at a soapland, but the soapland top earner lady hasn't been at work lately, and she hasn't been at work because her father is at a orphanage for old adults, and the orphanage is actually evil and they're planning to kill him, and then we have to go save him. And then we realize that there's a weird thing. Someone tells us about the weird thing. I don't know if that was Hoshino or whatever. But he tells us that there's a weird thing happening at the docks or something. And we go there and we learn that they're like bringing goods in, but they're selling them for as much money as they're worth or something. But actually they're printing money. But the people that are printing money are actually the Koreans, which we learn about through going to the Chinese, which are also related to the Yakuza, because there's a trifecta of whatever. I forgot about the Force Euthanasia clinic part. Yes, that's an important part of the plot. So everything in the middle of the story, I don't remember. I'm just gonna pretend that it didn't happen because it was irrelevant. And then do we start antagonizing Aoki before we go speak to Arakawa? I think that's the case, right? We encounter Bleach Japan, which is an organization set up by Aoki, who is the young master who went to America to get a revolutionary transplant so he can now walk again. And he wants to be a lead politician because of the influence formula, which we talked about before. There's a formula that Aoki knows about, which is that the more power you have, the better your influence. The higher your rank is, the better your influence to power ratio becomes, right? So if you're down here, let's say you are a janitor. Now your influence to power ratio is conversion rate is like 0.001, right? But if you're the leader of Tokyo, now your influence to power ratio is like 10,000, right? So it's all about that conversion, the influence to power conversion rate. That's why he's a bad guy. And he wants to, he just does a bunch of stuff for reasons that no one can really tell me about, right? No one can actually tell me what his motivation was, I'm going to assume. And we want to talk to him and engage with him because he's the young master. And then we eventually decide to head to the Tocho clan or to the Omi Alliance for a reason I don't remember. And when we go there, we find that the Tocho is still alive, of course, with Daigo, Majima, and Sejima. That they are the only people in the Tocho clan that actually matter. The entire remnant of the Tocho clan. And they will actually set up a secret plan, which is that when Watase, which is the Omi clan leader, comes out of prison, for some reason that I don't remember, I don't think anyone knows, they want to disband the Tocho clan and the Omi Alliance at the same time. Why? We don't know. I mean, no one really knows, right? And then they disband, and we are there to disband it, to help them, because we know that when they disband, all the very, very honorable Yakuza people that all care about their patriarch, that would never betray their patriarch, that are honor-bound to do as they're told, are all going to rebel and start trying to beat up and murder their patriarch. Which makes complete sense when you think about it. But luckily, Kiryu is there to save the day. And then we head back to town where we concoct a crazy, insane plot where our entire goal is to get close to Kume so we can figure out where the president of Tokyo is. Because the only way we can find the guy that's on national TV every day being interviewed, that has an office in a building that might be the Millennium Tower, the only way we can figure out where this guy is by getting close to one of his associates from a different city and be alone with him for a little bit, so he will tell us where he is. Because there's no other way to figure out where a public official that is seen multiple times a day, being outside and being on TV, it could be. There's just no way other than kidnapping or extorting one of his subordinates, right? Which is also just a part of the story that makes no sense, I think. So we fail at finding Kume because when we finally get our hands on him, we find out that Sawashiro is going to go murder Hoshino, but he's also going to take his time with it because he actually wants to be interrupted. I guess the reason for dissolving both Tochi and Omi is IRL is basically no longer possible to live like that in Japan. It's realistic. Well, they should probably delve into that a bit in the game, would be my... I mean, they talk about the Tokyo 3K plan or whatever, but... I don't know, is that in the Yakuza spirit? Is that what Kiryu would do? Would Kiryu dissolve the Tocho clan? I think Kiryu would start punching public officials until the Tocho clan was viable again. Anyway, so Sawashiro kills Hoshino, and then he reveals the big plot to... Oh, and this is after Arikawa was murdered. And we think Sawashiro did it, but then Sawashiro reveals the plot to Ichiban, which is that he didn't kill him, and that he talks about the locker babies and says how Ichiban is actually Arikawa's son, while Aoki is Sawashiro's son, which is completely irrelevant to the story, essentially, even though it's a cool theme. I feel like they dissolve every clan in every game. Well, they dissolve the Tocho clan and the Omi alliance, but then they remake the Tocho Omi alliance. No, don't ask me why or how or how that makes sense. He goes to prison. We go to speak with Kume? What do we... No, we go to find Ishioda, because we know that Ishioda has hired the Mirror Man to do something. I don't remember what. But Ishioda has hired the Mirror Man to do a thing. I don't... Were they going to kill someone or something? I can't recall. So we go in there, and then there's a quick grapple between our Adachi and Mirror Man Adachi, which are completely identical, because the Mirror Man has the ability to instantly take the shape of anyone he wants to be, right? Just completely mimic their entire style. Which is a throwback to Yakuza 4? 3? Whichever one that was the one that had the perfect imitation clones. So we fight to them, and then he reveals that actually he was gonna murder Arakawa, but before he had the chance, Tendo, who is another character who has barely been in the game, showed up, and he knew that they were about to murder Arakawa, so he took them hostage, and then in front of them murdered Arakawa, and then he went back to Aoki, I guess, and to get a better position in the clan or in the government or whatever. And then we are fake blown up, despite there not being any bodies. We are presumed dead. No bodies or anything, but we are presumed dead, despite the fact that there's no evidence of us being dead. Everyone thinks we're dead, even the bad guys, until we show up at a rally where we jump up and we hold a speech, and then we tell Aoki that we have a recording of him telling Sawashiro to kill Hoshino, which seems irrelevant, and we're like, oh, and it's in the Millennium Tower. And then we know that he's not gonna go look immediately, so we go and we take a rest. You know, we go to Serena and we sleep for a day, because obviously he won't go there right away, right? Then we wait a day, and then the next day we go into the Millennium Tower where Tendo has set up a base to find this note. We beat Tendo up, and while we're beating Tendo up, there's a press conference going on where Nick Ogata, which is another character who it's just kind of like he's like the MacGuffin of the game, right? He's the guy that just does everything that when you need him to do it, but he's not relevant in any way to the actual game itself, other than doing the things you need him to do, right? He would be like he's like in Miles. Is it in Miles Morales where you have that dude that just hacks stuff for you, and it's just like you're just out and he's like, oh, let me just hack that door for you. He's like that guy basically. Yeah, so Nick shows up and he I guess he hacks into the broadcast to show like this guy's wanted for murder, and then he stands up and he's like, wait a second, isn't it true that you're not actually this guy, you're that guy? Huh? What do you have to say about that? And for some reason, Aoki gets really flustered by this, so he decides to immediately go to the Millennium Towers, where, because obviously we planned for this, right? We knew that Nick would we knew that before we would be able to beat up Tendo by the time Nick flustered Aoki so much that he would come running to the tower. We would all prefer to be knocked out, and then we knew that Aoki would say something incriminating that we could record because we had Mirror Face pretend to be Tendo to set the interaction up, and then we beat him up. He tries to kill himself, and then he succeeds in killing himself, but it's like an inadvertent killing because he's killing himself through his actions of erasing Kume, which is I guess just a crazy person. And there we go. That's about it, right? Was that a good recap of the story? So let's just with what we've deduced so far. Let's just say what the hell, you know, like what the heck, what is happening here? There is not a single part of this story that makes any comprehensible sense to a human, and there's no one can convince me otherwise. Let's just preface everything that I'm about to say by saying that if you like this game, good for you. I'm not trying to like debate you out of enjoying the game. Different strokes for different folks. Some people probably think this is 10 out of 10 story writing, love it. The twists and turns, so epic. Japanese culture, sugoi, hentai, you know, whatever, right? If you enjoy the game, good for you. I'm not trying to like tell you that you're not allowed to enjoy the game, but I'm gonna say that for me, this is like hot garbage. There's no part of the story that makes any sense. Practically every cutscene in the game is chicken jockey. No, that's not a chicken jockey. I prefer rubber balls and aura farming. Yes, I mean, as someone who doesn't enjoy the story in most of the Yakuza games, right? I like the moments, but I hate the story. This is like the worst Yakuza story by far, I think. It's no part of the story makes any sense to me, and practically every cutscene is just people explaining the plot to you. And even being explained, it just doesn't make any sense. And it takes way too long to get started. And when it gets started, it's like none of the pieces are in place. We have to like do weird stuff to have it make sense, right? It's like, but what it feels like to me is, it feels like someone wrote the first draft for a story, which you usually do, right? And they just kept that. They didn't send it into the editors and like have some beta read it. There was like, they just wrote the first part of the story and there's like, oh yeah, whatever, this makes sense, right? You know, you have all the story beats here and all the elements to make a really good story, right? They have a lot of like themes that intersect, and a lot of things that are cool that could be really good, and a lot of emotional moments that could work if portrayed differently, right? There's a lot of stuff here, but it just feels like someone wrote it down one time, and then they, instead of going through it, be like, okay, how do I, you know, now that I know they're going to be locker babies together, how do I kind of make that storyline interesting and make it make sense and like intertwine those storylines together in an interesting way, right? Instead of just like, there was like, oh, what if they were really locker babies? And it's like, oh yeah, that's cool. Okay, I do that, right? And then they get towards the end of the game, they're like, okay, we need some way to get Aoki to reveal his plot. How do we do this? It's like, I mean, he would have to be tricked into doing it, right? So like, how do we trick him into just saying it out loud? And it's like, what if he had like a guy pretend to be one of his subordinates? And it's like, oh, that's actually good. Yeah, like, but how would he pretend? It's like, what if he just has like the ability to just kind of like change his face or whatever? It's like, I really like this game when I played it, but it definitely has its issues with the story. Not a big fan. I think we'll talk more about it, even though I gotta go in 10 minutes. I think all the elements of this game are like individually good. Like if I just take one thing and I'm like, the party, right? The party's cool. That's a great idea, and it kind of works. And they did a decent job with like how those interactions would work. But my problem is that the party members just consist of a bunch of random ass people that you just barely know, and then the game doesn't really like. The game just assumes that the second Ichiban encounters the person, it's like a puppy that just loves them. So there's no more character building or anything, right? Like sure, you can go have like a conversation with them at the bar to increase your bond level. When you walk along the street, you can push a button to have like a conversation. But like, I'm usually looking to like if I want to evolve the character bonds, I'm looking to do that through the main story, right? I'm looking to see that bond evolve through the main story, but it doesn't really happen. You know, Adachi's just kind of there just to be there. Homeless guy, what's his face? Namba is just kind of there just to be there, and Namba has this like weird side plot where it's like he was like pretending to be homeless because his brother went here to investigate some stuff, but then it turned out that his brother had been captured, but they're not evil, so they couldn't release him, but they could hold him kidnapped. But that's actually okay, because by kidnapping him and holding him against his will, he actually met the love of his life. So now that's plotline's just fine, I guess. And just like, it's just a little weird stuff. Like Saeko shows up because she's the sister of the girl at the old people's home. And she has some sort of relation to like the Soaplands, but like she doesn't belong in the story at all. She has no role in the story that's important. She just turns into an Ichiban cheerleader, right? Like, and then Jongji and Zhao, both of them too. It's just like they're just gonna tag along. We don't have any like cool moments with them. Like if you compare Zhao to Majima, which is like fair comparison, I think, right? Like, Majima becoming a Kiryu companion, it's like built up, right? It's like we have 0 to build in that relationship, and then we have like 1 and 2, which was build more in that relationship. It kind of makes sense. So if you had this game and you had Majima's companion, that would make sense. But they're just gonna hang on to you, and their role might make sense a little bit, right? Because they're part of like the criminal underworld, and their organizations are getting messed up. So maybe we can say that, okay, them attaching them make kind of sense, but ultimately it's like we're not building on those relationships at all, right? I don't know if they have enough motivation to actually do all the things with Ichiban. Yeah, maybe Chinese and Korean guy. A lot of them have their initial reason to be there, which gets resolved before the end of the game, then kind of just sticks around. Yeah, exactly. Detective Yakuza 2 was a decent comparison. Yeah, that's a good comparison, right? Actually, the plug segment, what was his main motivation being resolved, but it got swept on the rug beforehand, that it feels out of place. Yeah, exactly. Like, when we got to, like, that end segment with Adachi, I was just like, what is happening here, even? Like, I didn't even remember that being a thing. Like, or like, what is this? And that's what I mean, right? It's like, I don't think this is terrible. I don't think it's the worst thing ever. It just feels like they're, like, missing pieces, where it's like, you have characters that are all like I think the characters are good, right? I like Adachi, I like Namba, I like Seiko, I like Zhao, and I like Jongji. All these people are individually interesting. I like them as characters, but it doesn't feel like they're utilized properly in the game. It just kind of feels like they're there just to be there. You know, like, do they have reasons to be with us? Sure. Does it kind of make sense? Sure. But then we have these moments that are like meant to be like super crazy and heroic, like. We have that huge moment, right, where Namba comes back. We're fighting inside one of those buildings, and then we're like really beat down, and then the music starts playing and Namba returns. And I'm like, bro, he's a homeless guy. You know, this isn't like Mashima coming to save Kiryu, right? This is a literal homeless person. And he's not cool, he's not a badass, he has like no stakes in the story at all. Like, I'm not interested in this guy. It just feels like we're trying to like make this out to be a big scene, when it really isn't, right? So I think like they need to, like, instead of spending all the beginning of the story doing like, but dollar store sake and bakamitai, they need to spend you know, in spending the entire start of the story like doing these random ass like, oh, go to the Soapland and then go to the retirement home. Like, have those be character building moments, right, where Ichiban builds his crew up, and have Ichiban have a reason to have his crew, and have everyone have a reason to be together, where they're like bound by something, right? Like if they were all Yakuza, it would make sense, right? And then you could, if this was Yakuza 4 or 5, and you have Kiryu, and you have Akiyama, and you have Zejima, and you have the random fourth guy, which can either be cop guy or baseball guy, right? That can make sense. You can tie all those characters together, and it can be like, okay, this is a group of people that I know and I care about them, and here they are together, and now it's cool. Now I love it, right? It just doesn't make sense to be like, oh, we just picked like we pick up that Airy lady, right? And she's just not part of the story even. She's not in any cutscenes. I can have her as a party member, and I did, but she's not in any of the cutscenes. She's not an actual member of the party. She's just a person you can pick as an optional character, right? It's just, I don't know. Yeah, it feels very like first drafty to me. It feels like we wrote the initiating story, and then we didn't think much about it after that, right? We didn't like edit it or think about how to do it. Like I can think of a lot of ways to make this story way more compelling, and that's what I mean when I said like it has all the building blocks, and I guess if you want to put those building blocks together in your head, I can see why someone might love this game, right? I can totally see it. But for me, I want that to be like part of the game, right? It's like the parallel between the two locker babies. That's cool. That's awesome, right? That's something that you can build on. But then I don't feel like Aoki and Ichiban's relationship was built on enough, right? Like spend the first half of the game being just those two, you know? Have them be Yakuza together, have them go through some turmoil together, build on this narrative that they're like, they can have a dysfunctional relationship, right? But be like, you know, they can be Kyodai, right? These are like, you know, it's Machima and Sejima, right? These are two people that it might should tell the same story as Machima and Sejima, right? Like it wouldn't work, of course, because they wouldn't work as a politician. But if it's the same story type, that would be great. 10 out of 10. And I would say the same about this. It's just when Ichiban is like crying at the end there, and it's being really emotional. I'm like, this seems like a very well acted scene. I like that Ichiban is like showing different emotions than most Yakuza characters usually do. But it's not hitting for me because I don't believe this relationship at all. It just doesn't make sense to me, right? The only times we've seen the young master, Aoki, it's just him being an asshole to Ichiban and to everyone else. Right? We've never seen why Ichiban cares about him, other than just having some sort of like Yakuza honor bond, you know what I mean? If you just read the bar scenes, you would have loved this. I don't think so. But that's probably an excuse some people might make. One of the main reasons I find Nishiki so compelling is because he got Yakuza 0 later on, so we could see how his relationship was secure at first. We don't get that with Yoki. Yeah, exactly. That's a really good example. And that's what I mean, right? Like, if we like in our heads, if we imagine a world where we think Nishiki is Aoki and Ichiban is Kiryu, now you're like, cool, awesome. Now this works perfectly, right? But we don't have that, so like you can infer that if you want to, and then it might work for you, right? But I'm not inferring that, so it doesn't work for me. And yeah, I think the problems, my primary problems, without rambling too much about this anymore, because I do have to leave soon, is I think the story overall doesn't make sense. I think it's built on a bunch of contrivances, where instead of just having a plot that is narratively cohesive, it's just kind of all a contrivance, right? It's just every part of the plot is like, we contrived this thing so that we can do this thing, and then we contrived this thing so we can do this thing. We made a guy that has the ability to perfectly mirror people's faces, so we can have him in the scene later where he perfectly mirrors a face so that we can set up, you know, it's just a bunch of contrivances that don't need to be there. The character bonds aren't strong enough. They need to be built stronger so that the moments with the characters are more interesting. And the like overall pacing is kind of whack, right? It takes way too long to get started. And 90% of the cutscenes are just exposition. They're not, you know, we watched some Yakuza 6 cutscenes before, right? And we even watched the Yakuza 4 rubber bullet scene. And these are scenes where they're very action driven, and it doesn't just feel like people are explaining things to you, right? Like when the Yamato is revealed in Yakuza 6, that's a cool, like, I think that's a stupid as hell scene, but at least it's a scene where like there's action happening. It's not just someone saying, standing in the room saying, and that is why we have now raised the Yamato from the bottom of the ocean in order to preserve the Yakuza traditions. You see, in Japan, it is most honorable to own a battleship, and as a commander of a battleship, you theoretically hold the rank of commander, meaning that you also have the ability to command the Japanese military, and through the Japanese military, you will have total command of the world order, because through military power, you will gain influence, which equals more power. It's like, you know, it's like there's just way too much people explaining to you why they're evil and why they're doing what they're doing and how it technically makes sense, right? They're just doing way too much of that. You know, we watched the endings of Yakuza 6 where Kiryu gets beat up, right? 10 out of 10 scene, love it. I'll rewatch that anytime. Tears, chills, it's awesome. Love that scene, really good. And that scene does have a bit of that in it, right? It does have the bad guy explaining like, haha, you see, I did this because of this reasons. But at least there's like there's momentum there, right? It's going forwards, which we just don't have in any of this. There's no momentum. Everything's just so stagnant. You go from one guy explaining the plot to you, to another guy explaining the plot to you, to third guy explaining the plot to you, to fourth guy. It's like everyone's just explaining the plot to you. You're not. It's not never moving forwards. Yakuza 4 rubber bullet scene, right? Really cool. You have Sejima. He's like waiting for Mashima. Mashima doesn't show up. He grabs his 2 guns belt, one gun mouth, 2 guns hand, kicks door open, bang, 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 bang. You know, like really, it's like sick ass action scene, right? It's really cool. Love it. 10 out of 10. There's nothing even remotely close to that in this game, you know. That we don't have that scene. And I think lastly, I will say Sejima's intro Casino remains easily one of my favorite Yakuza. Yeah, and it's totally ruined by the rubber bullets, but if you pretend the rubber bullets aren't a thing, really good. I think the way they utilize old characters in this too is cheap, and people can agree or disagree with that. But like, I repress the trauma of that reveal. It feels a bit cheap to me. You know, I think the Mashima thing was fine overall. It felt a little bit like whatever. Like, oh, here's Mashima. Mashima like, I'm gonna fight you now because I'm Mashima. You're like, okay, sure, well, whatever, right? That was like, I was like, I don't think this is too cool, but like, it's a little bit whatever. Mashima's like, oh man, I lost because I'm a bit rusty. It's like, I think you just kill these guys, but sure, Mashima, that's on you, buddy. Like Mashima and Sejima together, that's like a team that could take out the entire Japanese army or something, but sure. But I think like when we're in the room and we're like, first of all, I feel like we should build up to us defending the Tocho clan and the Omi alliance, right? Like the fact that we learn about that the day before and then it's just instantly there, it feels like something you should build up to. But then we're there, and then it's like Mashima and Sejima are there, so it's like, okay, you already don't need us, right? We're already completely pointless. First of all, none of those Yakuza people would even walk up towards Mashima. Mashima would just stand there. Mashima would stand there like this, and those Omi Alliance guys would just walk away. None of those guys are walking up to Mashima, first of all. But secondly, if you pick a fight with Mashima, they just lose, right? So our presence in that fight is irrelevant. But then you make it even more irrelevant by having Kiryu randomly show up, right? And Kiryu doesn't show up in a cool way either. He's just like, he just grabs a hand and then he punches the guy, and then it's like, oh, I guess I owe you one, Ichiban. It's like, give me a break, man. Like, I don't know. I feel like a scene where it's like, where it's like, you know, Ichiban holding and barely holding back, and then you lose because it's like a scripted lost fight, and then as everything's about to turn to hell, like Kiryu shows up and just beats everyone up. That would be really cool. I'd love the hell out of that, right? It just feels a bit cheap to just have like Kiryu just be there, and it's just like not really doing anything. You know, I don't know. Just like it feels like my role is irrelevant at that point, because it's like if you have like a room full of people and your main character has like a dagger and then another character has like a minigun, and you're like, what am I doing here, right? Like the minigun guy goes, that's kind of what it feels like to me. It's like my presence there is irrelevant because there's no way they lose that. They have Mashima, Sejima, and Kiryu, and also Daigo's there, and also Kawashiro, whatever his name is, and then we have the other guy fighting for us. Yeah, I don't know. I don't know. It feels a bit irrelevant. And I think like involving Kiryu more than that too just felt a bit cheap. Like why have Kiryu show up and like show us like his dragon power or whatever? I don't know. That just rubbed me the wrong way. It feels a bit like Member Bear. It's like, remember Kiryu? It's Kiryu, everyone. I'm sure some people love that. I personally, for me, it should have been done better. That's what I think. If you're gonna bring those characters back, that's cool, but I think it should be done in a more tasteful, more interesting way, right? Like I said, I would have loved the scene where it's like you lose a fight completely and then Kiryu shows up and just saves the day. That would be cool. I'd love that because that's more in theme for Kiryu, right? Like Ichiban gets knocked down. It's like the fight's over. There's like 50 people left, and then you start hearing like poof, poof, poof. Ichiban looks up, all the people on the ground. Kiryu standing there, shirt off, and you're like, and he just walks away or something. I'd be like, cinema, 10 out of 10. I just don't like the like Kiryu catches a fist, walks out like, huh, I guess I owe you one, Ichiban. It's like, nah, I don't know. Last thing on the story, and this one I actually think is just, I would argue it's a big one, and I mean, you're actually seeing it right here. You're seeing it right here, and some people might know what I'm talking about now. There were a few times in the story where they leaned into Ichiban's madness, where after we fight Kiryu, he goes in, you know, he's knocked back in his dragon form, and there's a dragon there and he's wearing armor, and he learns a lesson, blah, blah, blah. When he looked up outside the Millennium Towers, he looks up and there's a giant storm tornado, right? That's awesome, right? Like, those are scenes that they should have leaned way more into, you know? I feel like all the important scenes should have been stuff like that, where you say, you know what? This game is supposed to be a bit RPG. It's supposed to be a bit fantastical. Every fight you're doing is like a silly RPG fight. Just have that be way more prevalent in the game, right? Like, have these fantasy moments where he thinks that he's the Dragon Quest knight and he's fighting, you know, knights and dragons and stuff. I think that would be way, way cooler. Have this be a scene in the game, right? Like, have these moments where he's struggling against things that are imaginary, but like real imaginary things. Much less something next to Power of Dragon Quest insanity. Not what I think before, but I really like it. I think that would like. I think those moments in the game are great. It's just that there's 3 of them or something, right? It's like there's one at the start of the game somewhere, I think. Then it's the Kiryu fight, and then it's the Millennium Tower. I just feel like look how cool this is. Why wasn't this an actual part of the game, right? Why isn't there a part where it's like he gets like dumped outside the city and he has to like walk back and he's like struggling against it. There's like a storm above the Millennium Tower, signifying the coming danger. You know, like there's a lot of shit they could do with the idea that Ichiban isn't all there in his head. Yeah, I had to leave 5 minutes ago. I feel like I've exhausted all I have to say about the story. Like, is the story the worst thing ever? No. Does it have decent building blocks? Absolutely. Do they utilize them well? No. Some moments were a little bit emotional, but I didn't have any chills in this one. You know, when I play any of the Yakuza game, except Judgment, there's usually at least one moment where I go, oh shit, Kiryu, that guy's beating up Kiryu. They come and save Haruka. Kiryu grabs the fist. You're like, all right, bro. Like, oh shit, I played 6 games for this. Worth it. I didn't really get that with this. I will say that, like, my problem with Ichiban is that he's basically just Kiryu. And I think that's a bit lame for them to just make another Kiryu, right? He's like, is he exactly Kiryu? No, he's a bit different, right? He's more whimsical, a bit more silly, more emotional. Fair. But, like, he's the Yakuza with the heart of gold that went to prison, right? It's like, it's basically this Kiryu storyline told again. He thinks the Yakuza are honorable and they should do all the right things, and they shouldn't do anything wrong, and they being a Yakuza is a good thing. And it's just like, did we really need another character that's just the same thing? Couldn't we, like, have a character with different motivations than that? I got chills when that woman used her boobs to distract the children in Judgment. That's a good one. So yeah. From a gameplay perspective, like, I think the gameplay in this is, like, interesting from a concept stage, but I don't think it's utilized very well. You know, it's cool to see what would have been heat moves and like crazy things happen on the screen. You know, like shooting with an orbital laser. That's awesome. They did a good job with that. It's cool they have all these different jobs. It's cool it's like a party-based system, but ultimately there's no depth to the system at all, right? It's like, if you play Clear Obscure Expedition 33, the parrying is like a real mechanic that actually matters. It's something that like is timed. So you're supposed to time it. It rewards you. You can make different builds that are based around the parrying. You can make builds that are based on not parrying. Every character has their own unique mechanics that are like that have depth to them. So you can build them in different ways. You can be like, oh, I'm gonna do the moon sun thing on CL, or I'm gonna do a thing where I do like the eclipse or blah blah. You know, there's a bunch of ways to build all the characters there, and all the characters different build things you can do. You can be, oh, I'm gonna be support verse, or I'm gonna be gun Lune or whatever. Right? There's a ton of different build variety there, and different ways to build the characters, different gear to give them, different weapons to give them, and it creates a very dynamic gameplay experience. And I even think that's like pretty relatively shallow in that game, right? Because ultimately it's just a parry game. If you can parry, you win. But that worked in this game. There's no depth at all. It's you play the character, you have your skills, you use the skill. That's it. There's nothing to it. There's no synergies that I can think of. There's no different characters builds. If you're the bodyguard on not Akiyama, on Ichiban, or you're the bodyguard on Adachi, it's the same thing. There's no difference between them at all, right? It's very traditional RPG in the sense, right? It's just like you just have characters, and the point is to just level them 600 times, and then they unlock different abilities between them, blah blah blah. Sure, but ultimately, and there's like a weakness and resistance system, and you have the parry system, but like all of this is like very very mediocre and lackluster. It was fun at the start, and then later on it just gets tedious. You have, it takes so much time too, right? Like you enter a fight, there's like 10 enemies, and if you don't AoE kill them, you do 4 turns, and then you're waiting. Oh, that enemy got stuck behind the chair. Kicked chair. Oh, okay, next enemy. Oh, he has a gun. Oh, that guy. What is he doing? Oh, he's doing a dance. He's buffing. And then it's like, now it's your turn again. And you're like, okay, shit. Okay, I'm gonna do this attack. Okay, took 50% health. Do this attack. Okay. Oh, I accidentally ran past this guy. Got an attack opportunity on me. I don't get to do anything. Okay, cool. Now it's their turn again. Oh, and you're just like sitting there, just waiting for it to be over. Like they get skills from their main job, so they're slightly different. Yeah, sure, but there's no build variety or anything, right? Like all the gear is really, really, really whatever. It's just gear that's like, oh, your character gets 20 more mana, or you get more XP, or some stuff is like you get an additional chance to get a bit more of this thing, right? It's like, it's like the definition of a mediocre system, I think, right? That's why I don't want to grind in this, and I don't want to do why am I blanking on Amon fight? Because at least in all the other Yakuza games, there's at least like there's a depth to the combat, and there's like you can cheese it. It is like roughly skill based at least, right? So you can just say me losing to Amon is a skill issue, but in this one it's just like, it feels like every person has one correct role, and playing on off jobs to level them up is annoying AF. Yeah, and I just did AoE attacks because I was like, oh shit, this dart attack really powerful. If you use against a bunch of enemies, they all take damage. If you use against one enemy, they take a lot of damage. So I just started using AoE because I didn't want to deal with group fights, and just ended up being really powerful. So yeah, I gotta go. Let's quickly look here. Open critic 7. My tablet are probably yelling at me right now. They're probably screaming at me. Oop. How much time did we spend? Apparently the average was 73 hours. I fry meat like a butterfly. 80 hours, 80.5. Alright. Here's the thing. I could keep ranting about this game. There's probably a lot of stuff that I could talk about that I would remember if you were here for another hour or so. But I think we get the gist of where I'm at with it, right? Like, if you want to summarize real quick, I think that Ichiban is an interesting new protagonist that has a lot of potential. I think that his companions are overall interesting individually, but they're not utilized properly in the story, and they're not built properly in the story. I think that I think that the story has a great foundation that is utilized very improperly, and that the game is way too reliant on exposition dumping over over showing you and making you learn the story yourself. And there are some parts of the story that are actually so pointlessly bad that they don't even they rank among the worst in any Yakuza game, like the mirror face guy. Like that's just insane. I fry meat like a butter guy. I didn't really try experimenting at all, though that might just be how I play RPGs. All I did was make Sayoko a pop star, and that's it. Yeah, that makes sense. I fit 3 hours because I'm skipping most of the side stuff. Yeah, and that's another thing. This is by far the worst sub-stories I've seen in any of the Yakuza games. It feels like two things. It feels like they've ran out of ideas. Like they looked at, they have a list of all the sub-stories they've done, and they're like, oh shit. What about this? Oh, we did that. Oh, what about this? Oh, should we did. Okay, what? They're like, okay, what about girl has illness and she has tied the illness to a persimmon in a tree, and then people try to break the tree down. One of the guys are kicking it, one guy's sumo wrestling it, the other guy's shooting it with a gun, and then one guy's yelling at it, and then she's watching Ichiban out the window as he's dealing with these people, and she's having surgery, and then after the surgery, it falls down, and Ichiban takes a bite of it, and she's fine, and like it's like all the sub-stories took way, 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 way too much time, and they were all so asinine, right? And a lot of the Yakuza sub-stories are asinine. They're not that interesting. But a lot of them in previous games will be like, Kiryu walks up, a guy's like, "Oh hey, Kiryu-chan, I lost my wallet," and then you walk over and the wallet's on the ground, and there's a guy like, "Hey, that's my wallet," and you beat him up, and he goes, "Oh, this is all a big misunderstanding. I have my wallet right here," and you'll go, "Oh," and that's it, right? But for this, every Gollum sub-story is like, go here, talk to this person. Oh, we'll see what happens over there. Go over to there. Oh, the kid drops the kid needs a shelf for his books. Let's go get the stuff for the books, and then we go and get the stuff for the books. But then we give the shelf to him, and then he drops the shelf, but he didn't actually drop the shelf. It was his dad that threw the shelf out because he didn't want to get homeless people. But then his dad actually was the homeless people are good. It's like just have them be short. Either have them be really meaningful and interesting, or have them be short. I don't care about all these random ass people in the city if they're not doing anything. You know what I mean? Yeah, that's another thing. Like, just give me a break. Minigames though. Let's say this. This game has one of the best minigames in the Yakuza game, easily, not even close. So that's a big mark in his favor, I guess. They did a really, really, really good job with the minigames, I think. Even though they're very, very samey, I guess. You have like kart racing and can racing, and I sent my thesis for a pre-check to my supervisor on Thursday and sent it back to me with comments today morning when he said he'll try to be fast and expected 2 days fast. Anyways, GG and Yakuza, thank you. So the story about giving people hot food to make them run was emotional. Ah, what a cute chat. Icon. The persimmon falls down and Ichiban eats the kid. Mirror faces are honorable for me. Why is your big trap for the villain at the end based on Magic Man with no explanation? Yeah, especially when you can just like you could just have him come in and monologue anyway, right? You don't need Mirror Man for that, or you could have had Tendo like betray him or something, right? Have Adachi behind him with a gun, and it's like, Tendo, play your part, right? Shoot you in the head. There's like so many better ways to do it. But yeah, I've said mine. Like I said, I can keep ranting about this game. I'm not going to. I gotta go. I have things to do. I've several people yelling at me. So, the quick and dirty is solid foundation, solid main character, great minigames, mediocre combat, mediocre to boring combat, trash story, good story potential. So 10 flawless masterpiece, not everyone should play this. 8 great experience worth playing. 7 good play sounds fun. 6 alright play if you like the genre. 5 average. 4 still a functioning game. 3 barely worth playing. 2 everyone should avoid this. 1 no redeemable qualities. I don't actually know what the lowest rated Yakuza game I have is, but I don't think any of them are going to be where I don't think about playing this. Actually, by my rating scale, I just have the perfect score for this. Well, do I? Hmm. how much am I going to trigger the Yakuza 7 fans? It's the question here. How much do I want to make them really, really, really mad so they never talk to me again? So if we judge this genre as the Yakuza genre, then we say a 6. But I would say there's a bunch of Yakuza games that you should rather play. I would give this like I'll give it like a 5.7. I'm already doing my best Ryu Aoki holding a gun impression. 4 out of 10? No, 4 is way too rough. 4 is still a functioning game. That's insane. That's a crazy score. That's for crazy people. All right, critics gave this a 8.6. Also, just let's just be clear. This is on the Endaline scale. A 5.7. That's like slightly below all right. A 4 is crazy. That would be an insane score. What do we rate a 4 here? Golem is a 3.5. I really gave Golem a 3.5. Why did I give it such a high score? Invincible is a 4.5. The Invincible. The Veiled Shadow of the Crown is a 4.5. Sinking Studio is 4.9. It's between Juice Galaxy and Fallback. That's not very good. It's slightly better than Spud. Yeah. Listen. Be triggered, Yakuza fans. I appreciate you. I'll see you back here for Lost Judgment in about half a year. Enjoy. Worse than Choo Choo Charles. At least Choo Choo Charles was short. What will happen to Enda after Yakuza fans find him? I don't have time for this. Just to be clear, the people in my tabletop group are yelling at me right now.
Ha. ずいぶん早いお迎えだね。さ、俺も行くか。な。
Or as I thought parts of it was average and I didn't like the other parts on the line scale. That's fair. The end. That was a good game. Alright, I gotta go. Let's see, where are we going today? Let's just head over here. This is safe raid. Listen, even though my Yakuza 7 score is controversial, just once again, if you liked it, I am not judging you. I'm not trying to tell you it's bad. This is just how I feel about the game. And remember, I am also a Yakuza hater. I don't like any of the stories. My average Yakuza game rating is like 6. just we're on the same page. If you look at my Yakuza ratings, real quick, Yakuza 3 is a 6.6. Yakuza 4 is 6.9. 5 is a 7. 6 is a 7.3. I don't think I rated 0 even. I don't think I got that far. But 0 is like a 9 something. Judgment is like a 6.3 or something. Yeah, this is like 6.5. Yeah. That's it for me. Hope everyone had a fantastic time. I wish I could have stayed and talked longer about the game, but like we can talk about it later too. We don't have to be just today. But I do have to go now because the tabletop people are probably yelling at me, waiting for me. Yeah. I'll be back. Regular time on Tuesday, playing more Hollow Knight. We'll probably just focus on Hollow Knight going forwards. Until we finish that game. If you're new here for the full stream on Discord, all that good stuff. I hope everyone had a fantastic viewing time. Have a fantastic rest of your Sundays. Appreciate you all. Love you all. Keep fighting foes, and bye-bye.
Keep fighting.
Oh, fuck. I tried to get the sound back. Also, thank you for the stream, friend. Bye-bye. My dance.
Macabre.